The 1970s were a wild decade for muscle cars. While gas shortages and emissions rules stole the spotlight, some truly brilliant machines got left in the shadows. Today, we're digging up those forgotten legends, cars that mixed raw power, daring design, and a dash of madness, yet somehow slipped through history's cracks. Buckle up, because these are the top 10 forgotten muscle cars of the 1970s that were brilliant. Number 10. Lancia Stratos. The Lancia Stratos wasn't your typical muscle car cruising down Main Street. It was born to dominate the dirt. This was the very first car purpose-built for rally racing, and it looked the part. With its short wheelbase, razor-sharp wedge design by Bertone, and a body that looked more like a spaceship than a car, the Stratos was decades ahead of its time. Under the hood sat a Ferrari Dyno V6, pumping anywhere from 190 to 280 horsepower, depending on spec. Pair that with a lightweight fiberglass body weighing under 2,200 pounds, and you had a machine built for pure aggression. The result? 3 consecutive World Rally Championship titles from 1974 to 1976. A rally icon, yes, but also a forgotten 1970s muscle monster in disguise. Number 9. Bitter CD. The Bitter CD was a German-built Grand Tourer produced from 1973 to 1979, and it was the kind of car that could easily fool you into thinking it had rolled out of an Italian design studio. Sleek, exotic lines made it look like something Ferrari or Maserati might have sketched on a napkin, but underneath the skin was an Opel Diplomat chassis. The real surprise came under the hood. Chevrolet small block V8s, usually a 327 or 350, delivering up to 230 horsepower with that unmistakable American torque. Inside, it was pure luxury, handcrafted leather, polished wood, and the kind of comfort you'd expect from a Grand Tourer. Only around 400 were built, making the Bitter CD a rare mix of American muscle power with European flair that most people have completely forgotten. Number 8. Jensen FF. The Jensen FF might just be one of the most brilliant forgotten cars of the 1970s. First introduced in 1966 but carried well into the early 70s, the FF looked nearly identical to the famous Jensen Interceptor, but it was hiding world-first technology. This was the first production car to feature all-wheel drive and ABS brakes, features that wouldn't hit mainstream cars until decades later. Under its long hood sat Chrysler big block V8s, starting with the 6.3-liter and later the massive 7.2-liter, good for about 330 horsepower. That gave it a 0 to 60 time of around 7 seconds, impressive for a heavy luxury GT. Yet despite its genius, only about 320 were ever made. Today, the FF is overshadowed by the Interceptor, but it deserves recognition as a true forgotten innovator. Number 7. Ford Festiva Shogun. Now this one is wild. In the late 70s heading into the early 80s, Ford toyed with an idea that seemed more like a tuner fantasy than a production plan. The Ford Festiva Shogun. They took the tiny, unassuming Festiva economy car and stuffed a mid-mounted 3.0-liter Yamaha-built V6 from the Taurus SHO inside it. The result? About 220 horsepower in a car weighing under 2,500 pounds. To handle it, the Shogun wore flared arches, a wide stance, and a look that screamed pocket rocket on steroids. Performance shops built a handful of these with Ford's blessing, but production never truly launched. Only 7 to 10 were ever made. The Shogun was a forgotten experiment, a glimpse of what could have been the craziest compact muscle car of its time. Number 6. Matra Simca Bagheera. The Matra Simca Bagheera might just be the quirkiest forgotten gem of the 1970s. Built in France, this sleek little wedge looked like it belonged in the parking lot of a Monaco casino. Its most famous feature? A 3-abreast seating layout, 3 people across the front, no back seat required. Add in a lightweight fiberglass body and surprisingly aerodynamic design, and the Bagheera felt far more exotic than its price tag suggested. Sure, early models came with modest inline-4 engines, but performance editions squeezed out respectable speed. What really made it brilliant was its sharp handling, an affordable alternative to Ferraris and Lotuses of the day. Sadly, rust issues and weak reliability meant its reputation faded fast. Today, the Bagheera is a rare, underappreciated survivor. Number 5. Marcos Mantis, M70. When it debuted in 1970, the British-built Marcos Mantis M70 looked like it had crash-landed from outer space. With its impossibly long hood, wedge-shaped styling, and wild proportions, the Mantis turned heads everywhere it went. Power came from either a Ford V6 or Rover V8, making up to 220 horsepower, not bad for a hand-built lightweight. Marcos crafted fewer than 50 cars, so spotting one today is like seeing a unicorn on the freeway. Despite its performance, the Mantis lived in the shadow of giants like Jaguar and Lotus, leaving it overlooked even in its prime. But make no mistake, this was a true muscle-bred sports car with exotic flair. Forgotten by most, it's now one of the rarest and strangest creations of the 1970s. Number 4. Dodge Omni GLH, roots in the late 70s. At first glance, the Dodge Omni didn't scream muscle. It looked like your neighbor's grocery getter hatchback. But by the late 70s, Carroll Shelby had other ideas. Enter the Omni GLH, short for Goes Like Hell. With lightweight construction and Chrysler's turbocharged 2.2-liter under the hood, this compact hatch shocked the muscle world. Some versions pushed 175-plus horsepower, and with such a small frame, they could outrun plenty of bigger V8s. It was quick, cheap, and handled like a scrappy street fighter. Shelby's fingerprints gave it real performance credibility, even if it didn't look the part. Overshadowed by the era's massive coupes and pony cars, the Omni GLH remains an oddball. More hot hatch than classic muscle, but still a 1970s rebel with a turbocharged heart. Number 3. Renault 5 Turbo. If you think muscle cars only came from Detroit, the French would like a word. Enter the Renault 5 Turbo. Launched at the tail end of the 70s, this thing was a street-legal rally monster. On paper, it started life as the humble Renault 5 hatchback, a grocery getter you'd never look at twice. But Renault had other plans. They ripped out the rear seats, shoved a turbocharged 1.4-liter four-cylinder midship, and gave it 160 horsepower. Now, that might not sound like much, but when your car weighs about as much as a sneeze, it's explosive. The widened body, massive fender arches, and bulldog stance made it look like it was flexing even when parked. It dominated rally stages in the early 80s, but its DNA was born in the 70s. Proof that muscle doesn't always need cubic inches, it just needs attitude. Number 2. Honda CRX, late 70s prototype. By the late 70s, Japan had figured out how to make cars efficient, but fun was still optional. Then came the Honda CRX prototype, a lightweight two-seater hatchback that whispered, "Why not both?" This wasn't a brute force muscle car in the American sense, but its brilliance lay in the numbers. Under 1 ton of curb weight, agile suspension, and an engine that punched way above its size class. By the time the production models hit the early 80s, the CRX C trims delivered quick acceleration with shockingly good handling. Tuners loved it because you could mod it endlessly. It was basically Lego on wheels. The CRX wasn't about straight-line dominance. It was about balance, precision, and fun per pound. A pocket rocket that in many ways was Japan's answer to muscle, small, smart, and surprisingly savage. Number 1. Isogrifo Series 2. Now, if you want forgotten brilliance, look no further than Italy's Isogrifo Series 2. Produced from 1970 to 1974, this was the perfect marriage of European elegance and raw Detroit muscle. Designed by the legendary Giorgetto Giugiaro, The Grifo looked every bit the rival to Ferrari and Lamborghini, low-slung, sharp-edged, and exotic. But under the hood, and you'd find a big-block Chevrolet 5.8, either the 427 or the monstrous 454, pushing between 390 and 435 horsepower. That kind of grunt propelled the Grifo past 170 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest road cars of the decade. Inside, it was leather and luxury. Outside, it was art. But underneath, it was all brawn. With only about 400 ever made, the ISO Grifo remains a rare gem, a forgotten masterpiece that proved muscle could be sophisticated. And there you have it, 10 brilliant but forgotten muscle cars from the 1970s that deserve way more love than history gave them. Each of these machines carried the spirit of raw power, bold design, and innovation in an era when muscle was fighting to survive. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more forgotten legends of the road.